What is good, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back, and it is a match preview video. There's a bit more news and bits in between as well that we're going to discuss. But yes, it's time for Leeds United to get back on track, get back on the 3-point train at home, and hopefully take care in what should be a real routine win against QPR. Should be. Anyway, before I get into it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, drop your comments and score predictions below. Going to do all that, do what I would change for this game in terms of the lineup, because I do think it needs a little bit of a refresh, and I'll give my reasons why also. Thank you to Mr. P for the super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated. Mr. P is also a member of the channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description. Now, as you can see, I do have, the Christmas lights up, and according to my Instagram, out of around, let's say about 150 responses, it's me and somebody else, because there's only one other person that's clicked yes that they've got their decorations up or started to get their decorations up. Everyone else is a no or a Grinch. But you know me, I love this type of year, people. So, you know, indulge me. Russ in the house, evening to you, man. Shout out to you. Annabelle saying DF is stubborn, narrow-minded and deluded. Messi is the best. Melier is the best keeper in the champ. I hope he learned from his mistakes this season, but it's not happening. We're going to get into all of that, don't worry. And of course, Chris King here, king of the Daniel Farke out club, president. No one goes above. The longer he sticks, the faster he goes. This makes me happy. Well, it can work in his favor, but it can also work against him. And again, we'll get into that when we get to the Daniel Farke portion of it in the video. Let's have a look. Nige here saying, called it preseason. Nothing was going to change the season with Farke. He's too stubborn and clearly hasn't learned or changed since last season. You don't have to ask a question there. That's your opinion. Tactics last night. We didn't play last night, did we? Nige, have you copied and pasted this from somewhere? But you're saying that his tactics were wrong. Well, they were wrong, weren't they? So yeah, listen, we'll get into that in a bit. Let me just get the minor news out of the way first. I do think it's minor. I don't think it's anything big, people. We're also going to speak about Junior Firpo in this video as well, because he's spoken about his future, which I want to get your thoughts on again, and I want to give my opinions on Junior Firpo again. But listen, first of all, Gretar Steinsson is to leave his role and take up a new position within the 49ers Enterprises global football operation. The transition is already in progress, and there's no plans in place to replace Steinsson. Try saying that. And as we know, in our recruitment team anyway, they already feel, the 49ers feel, we already have a good team in place, including Hammond, Underwood, and manager Daniel Farke, Angus Kinnear, whether you agree with that or not, and head of football admin Hannah Cox. So for me, this is very minor news. I don't think there's anything big there, because we know that we moved away from the Victor Orta model, where it was one person making all the decisions, and even Andrea bowing to Victor Orta's knowledge. We know it's a more collective group here in terms of recruitment and everything else like that. So for me, the news isn't big, and the fact that they're not looking to get in a new technical director to replace him, that speaks volumes in terms of the importance of that one position. If you've only got one, then of course you need to replace, much like Arsenal at the moment with Edu leaving for Nottingham Forest, and you know, that group of clubs that the owner for Forest owns. I don't think it's the same thing here. I think that we've already got a recruitment team, and if other people do leave, then of course it will be something to talk about. But for me, this is like very minor news. I think he's done a decent job at that level in lieu with the team that he's had. But yeah, it doesn't strike me as something where we go, oh my God, we've lost our technical director. What next? I think it's about the remaining members of the team doing what they need to do, ensuring that Leeds United are right on and off the pitch, and then we just move forward. That's it. Nige is saying, great opportunity for UKG replacing Steinsson. Tremendous. They wouldn't like how I operate, man. I'd be too ruthless, man. I don't think the fans would appreciate it either, but yeah. So yeah, there's that with that in terms of that kind of news, and we'll get rid of that. If you think it's big, leave it in the comments. But just for me personally, I don't see it as big news at this point in time. But listen, going on to the game, let's go on to the game next before we speak about Junior Firpo, because I listened to Daniel Farke's press conference yesterday, but nothing made me want to come back on and say that we need to speak about something. I thought I could just roll it into the preview, because there wasn't really a lot. There was asked a lot of very softball questions as expected, which I understand. Again, I understand with journalists not wanting to lose their credentials. Got it. We didn't really get anything, but what we did get from that is Daniel Farke maintaining his stance on his style of football. And that he won't change. He's going to stick to his principles. And again, this is something what I've said many times before. I said it when Bielsa was here. I've said it before. You can stick by your principles, but you ultimately succeed or you fail by them, and it's as simple as that. There's no in between. And I'm not going back on the Bielsa because it always just dredges up all the Bielsa fanboys back. But he had a style of play that he wanted to implement. Clearly, we didn't have the personnel to do it, and the score lines each week in the Premier League proved that. And he stuck by it until it was one game too many against Tottenham. With Daniel Farke, we know what his principles are, and it's about home form being key, but then you get the 2 points per game. But on that basis, in terms of that kind of stuff against Millwall, we failed in that regard because we lost the game. And it was a game that if you're going for the top two, you don't lose that game. You go to Bristol City, you win that game, like Sheffield United did. So he's got his model, he's got his principles, he's got his ways of thinking, and I think Popey was trying to like just go around the question and saying, look, it's obviously been successful with how you've done it, but with everything else, do you feel like you could change anything? And Danny Farker said no. There's no need to change anything. He did say that we do have different plans for various things. Yeah, no, we don't. No, we don't. We do have different plans. It's when we're behind, we throw on every attacker that we've got on the bench to try and equalize. But in terms of taking a game, and much like the Bristol City one, and I said it on the match reaction as well, and subsequent videos after, I said, and the videos after, I said that if you're going against Bristol City, we should be looking to win that game, not come out with a draw. Because at the moment, it seems like we're trying to go around. We had the 90-point trophy last year. It seems like we've had the most possession trophy this year. That does nothing for me. Win the game. Millwall had 25% possession, but you know what? They came out with 3 points. And that's the key thing. Matt here saying, not just the stubbornness, but the in-game management is problematic. I agree. Subs rarely impact a game when we're losing. Yeah, it was going well near the start of the season. Let's be fair. Again, I'm always fair. And in that I won't rewrite anything. But when Joel Peru was coming off the bench for those games, it was working like a treat, wasn't it? Joel Peru was on fire from the bench. We was getting goals from that area. But the thing is, people have been talking about, and we even mentioned in the last video about lack of set pieces. Our set pieces are poor. I need to remind you again, people, that we've got no goals from central midfield. Brendan Aronson is an attacking midfielder, so much like Jorginho Rutter, I don't count that as his central midfield. But again, we've got no goals from central midfield, and primarily Rothwell and Tanaka are central midfielders, not really defensive midfielders. So again, we're lacking in that area once again. And Joe Rothwell, for me as well, by the way, had another poor outing against Millwall. Came back in the previous game against Plymouth, but everyone shone in that game, didn't they? But he was quiet again, and he needs to do better, because I'm one that agreed with the signing of Rothwell when he came in, because it is an upgrade on what Kamara did, because Kamara was a press high, run around energy guy, get tackles in. But Joe Rothwell does have more of an eye for goal. But as we've seen so far, he has not hit the target with those yet, or he has hit the target, but it's been saved, or he had one nice one that just went wide from a real good area. And we do need to get more goals from central midfield. See, there's just so many things that we have deficiencies in. It's hard to just focus on honing on one, isn't it? Because it's just spread out all over the game. Yeah, Matt saying here, we were winning then though, chasing games as subs don't impact. Okay, yeah. Okay, get that, Matt. Absolutely get that point. Snoop Huggy White in the house. I've wanted him gone for 9 months. The football bores me. Only worry is if we go up, they won't have the minerals to sack him, and he will bring us straight back down. Yeah, I mean, look, Snoop, that's Snoop. I'm calling a man that's not Snoop Dogg Snoop. Tremendous. But I don't think that if we was to go up and he starts the way I think he would start, I don't think the 49ers would keep him. Now, ideally, and I've made my feelings very clear on this, he's not a Premier League manager in any way, shape, or form. He's not. He gets out-thought, out-tactically classed by managers in this division. Neil Harris, the latest one. You know what I mean? You've got no chance. And I even look deeper. I don't even think of the Peps. I don't think of all those kind of coaches, or Ruben Amorim, who's coming in now at Man United. I think of the teams that we would be around trying to get their spots. I'm talking like your 14th, 15th place teams. First of all, our team isn't strong enough against those, which is something we'd have to address in the summer, which we would. but I just think he'd get cooked. I do. But at this point in time in the championship, I always say this, and we can speak about this probably in the international break. But unless you are getting somebody who is going to be better, and I don't mean Mark Robbins, who's just been sacked at Coventry, or who knows what he could do with a better squad, granted. But I mean, you need to make sure that you make the right decision when you part with Daniel Farke, if it was to come to that. Because what I don't want is to go down the cycle of being another championship club where the appointments start to get less and less and less. We don't need that. We don't need that. One thing I will say with Daniel Farke is I do feel he handles the pressure well at Leeds. I just think that he is just so one track minded with his football vision that it's stifling our point total. I feel we should have at least seven more points than we do now. And it shouldn't be unrealistic for people to think that we should be winning more games than we have with the squad that we do have. Once again, and I'll prove it again when I put out my first 11, because there'll be some players missing where you go, well, what about this player? What about this player? That's the luxury we have in this division. And I don't think we're utilizing it enough for me. Um, let's have a look. Jack here saying he has to get sacked if we get promoted. He's already proved to me he's not good enough for that level. Yeah, it's just about if the 49ers would be that ruthless. And before the summer, I would have said I think they could be because they are more data driven, as we know. But that doesn't mean anything because Melier, if you're looking at data, he's one of the worst goalkeepers in the division. Literally one of the worst goalkeepers. And it doesn't take a deep dive to see that. I want to look into it more, but I'm sure I saw a stat where he's like 16th in the division where it comes to like save percentage. I'm going to have a look at that though, so don't quote me on that. But if you were going to look at it data wise, you'd say he's not going to cut the mustard here. Let's go and cash in on him where Marseille are really interested in him and go and get someone better. Don't want us to talk about it because I don't want to keep speaking about players that we don't have. But Victor Johansson, even though Stoke are a middle of the table team, boy, he puts in incredible performances for them. And that's the difference for me. That's the difference just between having a solid goalkeeper and a goalkeeper where you think, just keep the ball away from him. Keep it away from him. Otherwise, it's probably going to go in. Much like the Millwall shot. It was nothing special. That was a normal championship goal for me. See that on the highlights every week. Just the goalkeeper's doing one little pathetic dive attempt to try and save a ball that's bouncing about 2 times before it goes in. But that's what we're working with right now. So that's why I don't think if the 49ers, if we go up, I think they'd want to thank Danny Farke and give him a chance. And maybe there is something to that. Maybe he might surprise us. But I said this at the start of the season with this. I said, I do understand why the 49ers stuck by Danny Farke for the second year. I completely get it. But he has to change. And I made that abundantly clear with every single video I said. I said he has to change how he operates with the substitutes. He has to change with how he rotates the team when we need it. And quite frankly, people, we need it right now. We need a bit of rotation now because some of the players are looking a little bit tired, even though they shouldn't be. They are looking a little bit tired, but we've got the squad to replace a couple of them as well in the first 11, and then use them as a substitute if those players aren't working. I just feel like he's just too tactically rigid. It's not fluid enough for me. Carl here saying here we are too easy to get points from to go. We need to be ruthless and go to place like Millwall and snatch a 1-0, 2-1. We need to go get a run to. We need a run to get ahead rather than catching up again. Exactly, Carl. We shouldn't be catching up. This is the whole point I've been trying to make. We should be setting the pace. People should be looking at our team and going, Leeds this season, we got absolutely no chance. We got no chance against this team. Not only are they the most expensive team or highest paid team, as Solomon on 50 bags a week says so, they're just unstoppable. It's all coming together from this season. They've learned the lessons from last year, and Danny Farker's got this machine purring. But we're not getting that. We're getting a couple wins, then it'll be a draw, then it'll be a loss. We have to go on a run, much like Millwall have just done now, getting 4 wins in a row. We haven't done that yet. We haven't done it yet, and we should do. But the thing is as well, I got a comment the other day where someone said, I can't remember who it was, but he said that the evidence is saying that we aren't a top 2 team because of the results we're getting. But I don't agree with that. I don't think it is the players. The players are partly responsible. Please don't get me wrong, but you are the mirror of your manager. And I do feel that this squad is a blessing in this championship. Even though people aren't seeing it right now, and I'm saying this after a loss, people. So I'm not saying it after we won 5 games in a row and I'm all high on giddy and everything else like that. I'm saying this squad is a blessing for this league that is weaker than last season. And yes, we lost Georgie, we lost Somerville, we lost Archie, but the squad overall is still more than good enough to be top two in this division. Absolutely is. And I just don't think we're getting the best out of them. You know, I do another manager probably plays two up top some games, but we don't get that here. Gavin here saying second half versus Plymouth proves we don't go for the throat, etc. Yeah, yeah. I mean, somebody said I didn't see it, so I don't want to say it's true, but somebody said that he looked a bit disappointed when Charlie Crew had a shot at the end of the game against Plymouth. I don't know about that, but we do know that he's very, very safe. Safe is probably the best word until it's too late, until we're like 1-0 down and there's 10 minutes to go rather than 70 and making just small changes to try and change the game rather than throwing the kitchen sink. And it doesn't work. I think it's worked one time when we got a draw. I think Joseph scored last season and he came on for like 3-4 minutes. Maybe it was against Watford. I don't remember when the game was, but I think it's probably worked once already. Yeah, yeah, I've called it. Yeah, Handbrake FC. That's what we are, man. And again, this is me talking when we was even in that really good winning run we had last season. So this is nothing new, but it's so predictable what we're gonna do. The passing is so slow. We don't move the ball quick enough. But I've said it so many times. I'm getting bored of saying it. But when we play one-touch football in this division with the talent we have, the teams they don't know what to do. There's gaps all over the place. Their players start fouling our players. But when we play that slow, methodical pace, we allow two banks just to get back in a row and they say, well, come and break us down then. That's what happens in so many games. It's so boring to watch. But I've already said, I'll take boring football if you're winning games, but we ain't winning enough games to be playing this style of football with the players that we do have. Um, yeah, Nigel, we are trying to secure automatic pro show out any goals coming from midfield, corners, or set pieces. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one. David here saying he won't change for me. That's the reason we failed to get promoted last season. Yeah, it is. It's one of the reasons anyway. One of the reasons. But yeah, listen. So there we are. And I mean, once again as well, he tried to not big up QPR, but he did say he's wary of QPR. I understand he's not going to come out and say we're looking to clap their cheeks, but I don't want to hear you're worried about a team that is like QPR that is here. People, let me scroll all the way down for you. I don't want to hear that Leeds United are wary of QPR, who have got one win in 14 games. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. Just say it's going to be a tough game. They're fighting. We shouldn't be wary of QPR. QPR should be wary of us. Okay, we should be putting on another clinic like we did against Plymouth. It should be the same scenario with this one. I'm looking for at least 3-4 goals in this one. If it comes out 1-0, I'll take the 3 points. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna fuss too much. But we should be putting on a clinic here and saying QPR, sorry, mate, this is what we have to do. And just on an additional note as well, because I know some of you like rate Ilias chairs if he's like Zidane, he's going to be missing for this game. He's going to be out with an injury. So even their better player is going to be out for this game. All right. So look, yeah, and Lewis here, just saying here, Farke's history doesn't indicate change. Not sure why I was expecting it. Yeah, Lewis, for me, it was more of a hope. I say it was more of a hope for me. That's what I kept, I always try and make things clear when I'm very unsure about somebody. And that's what I was hoping for in the summer. I said, look, he's got to have seen where we slipped up last year. Lack of squad rotation, poor substitution. He's got to have seen that was a big factor as to why we didn't finish top two. Yeah, he didn't see nothing. He didn't see nothing, did he? Uh, um, but yeah, so Queens Park Rangers, absolutely no worries for me on this one. We should be taking home the 3 points. I think it's going to be another standard home win. Few of you keep mentioning the away form, and that's something that I think I mentioned on the last video. I think it's 3 points in 4 games. Maybe some of you have got more updated, detailed things to say about that. But yet that's not going to get you promoted. 3 points in 4 away games. That's not going to cut the mustard. You have to. in order to get top two and not even worry about the playoffs, which we know this football club shouldn't, you know, go back into the playoffs again. The pressure, the magnitude of it, I feel is just too much. I think it's too much for this football club to deal with. So top two has to be the aim for me. Top two, but you're gonna have to get wins in a row. By the way, not just two. It has to be three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Get those wins in a row, which we're more than capable of, and go on a run and put us out of sight. Just do it. Just do it. Um, what's that? What's that? Jack, they've got that cart horse centre back from Forest. We need to win by a big margin. Yeah, I think you're on about Steve Cook. Yeah, but this is another reason why I'm going to go for the team I'd go for. So let's move into that. Yeah, you're on about Steve Cook. Got it. Yeah, this is their team at this point in time. This was the team that lost 4-1 at home against Middlesbrough, and there'll be no chair in this one. This team here. Are you kidding me? I'm not worried about this team. Not worried about it at all. Neither should the players. Be professional, get the 3 points, and head into the international break with 3 points under your belt. But let me get into the team that I would pick. And I have made a couple of changes because I do feel we need a couple of changes in this team because, quite frankly, we've seen the same lineup over and over again in the past few, and I think it's just a little bit stale, maybe a bit of fatigue. So this is what I would go for. It's going to be the same back five: Firpo, Strout, Road, and Bogle, Melier. We're going to speak about Firpo just after this segment. But yeah, for me, Firpo as well, by the way, needs to do a little bit more as well as a senior pro, as a senior professional. In terms of that, I thought he was pretty poor against Millwall, got to be honest. And being one of our better players at this level, I feel like he's got to give us a little bit more. And this is a perfect game to do so. And there's going to be a few of these to be strung out for me. A perfect game to do so. Going forward, this may surprise some of you, and maybe this will get the most arguments, but here we are. I'm starting Gilavogi in the team for this week. I feel like he looks fit enough. He looks like he's ready to go. Again, this is a perfect game for a Gilavogi to start in. It's QPR. There shouldn't be too much pressure on the ball. We will have the ball the most. And I think it will just give Tanaka the license to just move around the midfield a bit more. Even saw some Japanese fans saying that Tanaka isn't, it's weird to see him so deep. And I do feel that as good as Tanaka has been so far, I feel that we could get a little bit more out of him if he's able to play central. Now, the way you do that is with Gilavogi sitting in there, just sitting in there, protecting everything. We've seen him. He's still athletic. He hasn't got the pace that he did 10 years ago. I see that. But in this kind of game against QPR, I think it would be perfect for Tanaka to roam the central midfield and put Gilavogi to start. And if Gilavogi gets tired, then you put Rothwell on. I just feel that Rothwell's performances, as decent as he was, especially against Sheffield United, and there was another game, Sunderland, both games, he was brilliant in those games. He's had a few meaty performances since, a few. So get Gilavogi in there. Let's go. What are we saying then? Let me ask people's here in terms of this. Wayne here saying too many tippy toe passes at the back. I agree, Wayne. It's like watching the Chuckle Brothers to me to you all over again. It is exactly there. Martin here saying Schmidt instead of Bogle, for God's sake. Fairs. But once again, Martin, there's that. This goes back to Danny Farke's usage. And listen, Danny Farke, he gave an explanation this week in terms of why we're not seeing Schmidt. And I take that on board in terms of Schmidt. If he's not doing enough in Farke's eyes in training, that's a pure manager decision. But once again, even in the Millwall game, we didn't see Schmidt. He didn't even come on a sub. So yeah, maybe he could start the game out of nowhere, but I think it's very unlikely because for me, Bogle's been good for us overall, and he speaks highly of Bogle. So I think Bogle will start again. And he's only just come back into the team after suspension, so no need to rest him in that. Yeah, Matt saying no, I would have started just on Wednesday given his physicality, not tomorrow though. Fairs. Nigel, you haven't seen the rest of the team yet though, so just hold that thought, all right? And Lewis. Surprised he hasn't slapped Peru besides Tanaka. Yeah, and this was another one. This is again from Danny Farke's mouth after the game against Millwall, saying that Peru dropped deeper into central midfield. When we saw last season over and over again, Peru does not work in central midfield. Angus Kinnear himself at the start of the season with the square ball guys says if Peru plays in his natural position, he's getting 20 goals. and yet he still drew the man back into central midfield again. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, the age don't matter to me. You know, Gilavogi's fit and ready to go, and he's 34. People, you guys keep aging him. He's 34 years old. But in terms of Gilavogi, I think he's more than ready. And again, QPR perfect game. So let me move on to my front four. This may surprise some people. Nige, you still loving the team, or are you not loving the team anymore, Nige? And this is what I'm saying. And listen, the reason why I'm putting them here, and listen, Nonto can play as a shadow striker. Solomon will drift inside. We know James can cut inside too. Where these people are on my pitch, there's going to be movement. You know, Tanaka isn't just going to stick in the central midfield and not move. We know he's got the capabilities to move forward. But listen, the reason why I'm going with Brendan Aronson on the bench is because for me, Brendan's look a little bit leggy in the past couple of games. He hasn't been able to complete 90 minutes for me. And as good as his energy and his ability to find a goal is, I think this is a nice game for him to rest. And plus, isn't he going away with the US team? He's going to be playing in those games. So put him on the bench. And if anything goes wrong with the three behind Joseph, then slap him on and get the energy from him. But I think it's a great game to rest Brendan Aronson for. And Solomon, we need to see Solomon perform. And if you're going to do it, Solomon, it's going to be against QPR at home. It's going to be this kind of game. He's looked better. I will say Solomon has looked better in the cameos that he's made, which is why I would give him the start. Because quite frankly, people, we're on the 8th of November. If we're not seeing more from Anna Solomon, we're gonna have to look to terminate the loan in January. We've done it with Jed Spence, so there's precedent set. If players aren't performing to the standards that Daniel Farke set, the loan gets terminated, or you just don't see much game time, a la Jaden Anthony. But Solomon versus QPR, I think it's a layup for him to do something. Does anyone disagree? Anyone disagree? It's cool if you do say it in the live chat, say it in the comments. I'm absolutely fine with it. But regardless of who you're putting in these spots, people, any team that we put together who's available and fit should be beating QPR. Should be, okay? Annabelle saying, like your team, KG, Peru better from the bench, in my opinion. And there, let me just go into that as well. I would put two up front, but I think Peru is due a game on the bench now. He's had a few starts and it hasn't gone well. And like I've said before with Peru, if he's not scoring, I think he's done okay with some of the build-up work that he's done. But generally, if he's not scoring, it's going to be ineffective. And there's nothing against that. That's what that's his game. But with Joseph, he's got a lot to prove. He's hungry to start. Trust me on this. He's hungry to get back in the starting lineup. And he's hungry to get amongst the goals. And I think it would be a perfect game for Mateo Joseph. Perfect game. Keep saying it, people. Sorry about that. But I think it would be a great game for Joseph to come back into, get the service from Dan James, who does love to whip in across, and Joseph would oblige with that. Put Nanto in the 10, where I think Nanto has been more effective, especially at the start of the season. And get this team cooking, people. Get this cooking. Scott here saying two up front for me still means Joseph with Nanto. It is still two up front. This is the thing. It's very fluid. I let my players be expressive. You know what I mean? So Nanto would drift in the 10, but he can also cut through. And we know Nanto loves a shot. He loves a shot when he gets in the space. So it basically is two up front. It's just that, you know, you put it just behind just for aesthetic sake. You know what I mean? Just that. Michael here saying Farke will start the same 11. Sorry, he probably will, Michael. I'm just going with what I would do for tomorrow's game. Elmi saying here, please, Joel Peru number 10. I mean, look, I'm not against that, but I just think with Joel Peru, if he comes off the bench and scores again, maybe we might have to run that formula back because it was working beautifully, people. It was, and I like Joel Peru, but he was way more dangerous when he was coming on for the last 20 minutes and sticking the ball in the net. It was working wonderfully. He earned those starts, though. Have to say that he did earn those starts. But let's go back and see what we can do. Let's try and cook it up again. Let's try and cook it up. Joseph here saying Farke's football is okay. It's boring and annoying. I've got it. I've seen that message loads of times, and I do agree. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Carl here saying that's a very good forward four for this level. It should be comfortable, but Leeds don't do simple. Still confident 1-0 win. So yeah, listen, people. That's my team, and those are my reasons why. So that's the reason why I've summoned Aronson and Peru to the bench. Rothwell too. Maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments after the video's done. So let's go with score prediction as Carl set us off. 1-0, Carl. I'm going to go with this team in mind, by the way, I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to go 3-0. I don't think we'll do it as quickly as we did against Plymouth. I think maybe we'll spread the goals out more, rather than score two in the first 10 minutes. Maybe we'll go I'm going to go 3-0. Can't go any higher, not under this manager at this point in time, I should say. So Matt here going 3-0. Yeah. Gavin saying 6-0, 4 from corners. That is tremendous. Annabelle is going 3-0. Danny's going for a 1-0 Leeds. Jack saying a 1-0 win will feel like a 4-0, will feel like a loss to me. 4-0. Nigel going 2-1. Russ going 2-1. Lee saying, what if we lose? We do need to have that conversation. We will have that conversation. We don't shy away from that. If we lose against QPR, or if we draw, and he says, well, they drew against Burnley and Sunderland too. I don't care what they did against Burnley and Sunderland. Don't give a crap. We are not Burnley, Sunderland. We're Leeds United, and we should be beating QPR that have just been whooped by Middlesbrough at home 4-1. Don't want to hear that they've been doing well against Burnley and Sunderland, but I know it will be coming. Sly going 4-0 to Naka Brace. That would be nice. Snoop going for a QPR, a draw, but QPR to score first. Oh, my Lord. Michael here is saying here, honestly, KG, no one is under threat for their place, even the goalie who chicks one in. Who chicks one in? Do you mean? Oh, I think you mean. Yeah, no. It's chucks one in, isn't it? I got you, Michael. That's the issue. It is an issue, Michael. That is definitely an issue in terms of that. But those are things that we'll have to talk about probably in December when we can speak about the January transfer window, because there will be, for me, there's going to be changes this January, and I don't know if it's going to be severe. But you're already seeing rumors about Gilhart possibly looking to leave on loan. I think Leeds should go one better and give him a permanent move. I think if we can find a buyer for Joe Gilhart, and I think a club will be buying goods there. I think they'll be buying a player that will want to rebuild his future and restart his career. I think that he's got value. We also obviously we've seen the Bamford rumors. I do feel like we need another goalkeeper, and I'll keep on banging that drum because I shouldn't be. And I'll say this, people. I shouldn't be going into games hoping we don't see any shots on target. Obviously, nobody wants their team to concede shots on goal, but I have a worry when we concede shots on target because I don't trust the goalkeeper, and it's exhausting watching games like that. It's like, they're coming down the side. If they get across, and if Roden or Stripe don't get ahead on this shot's going to go on target. What's going to happen? I literally do that with every game with this goalkeeper in goal. And it shouldn't be the case. I'm hoping that his stock hasn't fallen too much, even though that clip really did go worldwide against Sunderland. I mean, it was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And I still hope that there's some takers for him because, oh, my Lord, people are talking about Farke going up into the Premier League. I got some cold truths for you because, like I say, I don't start watching Premier League football. If we go up with some of the players that we have right now, we probably won't even see the 31 points we saw when we was last in the Prem. And I'm being dead serious with that. You're seeing the struggles at Ipswich, Southampton, Everton. But who's the other team that went up? Leicester. I mean, they're doing a bit better. You see the struggles that they're having. If we go up with Melier in goal, just you may as well just book the relegation, honestly. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not overcooking it. I'm being deadly serious. You think he's struggling now with few shots on target? Wait until he gets peppered by better players that have better manipulation with striking the ball, who can hit you from all angles. He's going to get eaten again. By the way, it's not the first time, is it? We've seen it before. Jed, think we could tap up Klopp through Red Bull and swap one German manager for another. I think he's already made it clear though with Klopp. I mean, obviously, you take Klopp at Leeds United. Goes without saying, even though I can't stand him when he loses. I think he's like a sore baby when he loses. Some people say that's rich, seeing as I'm a Jose fan. But Jose makes it funny, all right? But I think Jurgen's made it very clear he's not managing any other team in England, so we can kind of leave that conversation. I think he's going to be Liverpool only, and that's fair enough in terms of that. But it's not, I'm sorry to say, and I don't mean this horribly, it's not a hard bar to be better than Farke once we're in the Prem. We will have a pick of managers that would love to manage Leeds United under the Red Bull 49ers ownership partnership. and can do a lot of things, good things together as well, by the way. Yeah, but listen. Um, See, I see this a lot. I know a lot of you, and maybe it's because we were linked with him before. I, I I wouldn't make this change. And this again, these are discussions for when we do go up, because we're being very premature right now, aren't we? But it's like a thing now with, say, Max Kilman and Pascal Struijk. At one point, I would have 100% taken Max Kilman over Struijk. It wouldn't even be close. But with the margins the way that they are right now, and I like Max Kilman a lot, by the way. I think he's a real good defender. But the way I look at it in that kind of scenario is the amount of money we'd get for Strauch and what we'd have to pay for a Kilman, I don't think is worth the quality bump. But in terms of Keller and Melier, I've seen Kelleher, sorry, I should say that's his real name, Kelleher, make some clangers this year for both Ireland and for Liverpool. And again, I feel like he's the same kind of. No, I've got better goalkeepers in mind for when we're in the Prem. People, I've got way better goalkeepers in mind than Kelleher, and I think maybe it's because he plays for Liverpool. He gets that extra bounce on his name, everything like that. But for me, I've got better goalkeepers in mind. Lewis saying here, any decent football manager player could do better than Farke. That's listen. I don't, and this was another thing, because a comment, and shout out to Rebecca. She's been with me from the jump, but she tried to downplay everything that we've done so far this season. And I can't do that. When we beat Sheffield United, we absolutely battered them. We made Sheffield United, first of all, change their tactical system to come to Ellen Road. And then we made them sub off O'Hare and Harmer after 60 minutes because they were ineffective. Kiefer Moore locked up by Roden and Struijk. We have had some good performances, but they're too inconsistent. And that's the main point I try and make. We should be more consistent with the players that we have. So yeah, in terms of that, and shout out to you, Adrian, who's become a member as we come to the end of the stream. Salute to you, Adrian. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for that kind of support. It really does mean a lot. So, people, that is it for this one. I will be back straight after the game tomorrow. And I've already set the video up. So if you want to join me after the game, discuss the result, I will be here live straight after the game, unlike the other night where I wasn't. And that will be a theme for a couple of games this month, but I'll get into that tomorrow. Okay, people? I will get into that tomorrow. But listen, please put your predictions in the chat. If you disagree with any of the changes I've made in terms of the player personnel for tomorrow's game, let me know in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow night, people. Please like it before you go. See you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, sorry. Peace out.